Thank you very much. The gentlewoman from Ohio, Mrs. Beatty, is also the chair of the Subcommittee on Diversity and Inclusion. She's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Waters. Please excuse my voice today, and thank you to all of the witnesses. This is an exciting and amazing day for me. As Chairwoman of the Subcommittee on D&I, I want to applaud you for your honesty and for helping us as we shape this vision under Chairwoman Waters. We've talked about a lot today, and what came to my mind was, and the first time I said I'll have to give credit to Skip Spriggs with the ELC, because what he said, if you fish in the same pond all the time, you catch the same thing. So if we are only looking for seated CEOs or COOs when we talk about corporate leadership, putting people in the room, we need a bigger pool. Now, I don't think that we have heard or there's anything that has happened in the past that has gotten us there 100%, or we wouldn't have Chairwoman Waters taking this national, international leadership for everybody in this room and everybody on both sides of the aisle to become a part of history, because that's what's happening today. Now, we talked about the Rooney Rule that started in 2003. Dan Rooney, I believe, had a great idea, chaired the diversity committee for the NFL because it was a start. It at least got people in the NFL talking about what they had not done, and yet they were making all this money on black players. And so we got great results because it wasn't just putting a minority in the interview, it was a qualified great minority of thought, of gender, of race, and you can have diversity of thought and environment and end up with a black person. And that's what happened. Congresswoman Waters mentioned Raphael Bostic, and thank you. It was about that same time that my legislation, patterned after the Rooney Rule, the Beatty Rule, we went after the Federal Reserve, and we got Raphael Bostic. So my question is to you, Ms. Gawa, can you tell me, how does having a diverse slate of candidates positively impact the outcome of diverse candidates filling the position?
Thanks for asking that question, Congresswoman Beatty. One thing that I want to just bring up is that when you have diverse board members, when you have diverse leaders or executives, I think that there is that perspective that they bring. And one of the things is that sometimes they can always also recognize leadership that may not show up in the normal way. I think that in this country, there is a prevailing perspective of what leadership is supposed to look like. And that if you can't see beyond it, then it may be difficult to then see someone who is diverse, that they too can also.
Okay, to Mr. Lombra, according to your most recent board monitor report, women fill 183 of the 462 open boardroom positions at Fortune 500 companies. However, racially diverse candidates did not seem to get the same gains. Was your company retained to source diverse candidates, or do you know how many diverse candidates were on the slate?
To be clear, do we measure the slates and the amount of diversity on those slates?
Yes.
Indeed, we do. We made a commitment at the beginning of this year that we would, on a global basis in the aggregate, have diverse slates of at least 50% diversity introduced to clients around the world. Okay. What we've discovered in our business, if you have a very few number of diverse candidates on a slate, it's almost a very low probability anyone will be chosen. Okay. If you have an amply diverse slate, then the probability of a diverse candidate being selected is much, much higher. So we've endeavored that.
Thank you. I have one last question that I'm going to ask everybody to say yes or no to. Do you see the relevancy of why many of us, and I've been doing this ever since I've been in Congress, trying to advocate for getting Harriet Tubman, a woman of color, on the $20 bill? Do you see the value when we talk about diversity and inclusion here in this Financial Services Committee? Would you support that initiative? We're going to start with you, Ms. Gergen. It's a yes or no.
I don't think GAO has a position on it, but the symbolism of women in leadership positions.
So is that a yes?
Strategy we saw.
Okay, we need to go. I only have 7
Yes.
seconds.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, and I yield back.